Ladies and gentlemen, you're highly welcome to this session of the Dicalo Consulting Group, where my name is Mr. Dixon Akam. I'm the CEO of the Dicalo Consulting Group. In this session, we focus on discussing more about the business setup and incorporation services of the Dicalo Consulting Group. We The Dicalo Consulting Group is a management consulting group firm which offers a range of services ranging from bookkeeping, accounting, outsourcing services, corporate tax, VAT registration and outsourcing, VAT and corporate tax filing, withholding tax, transfer pricing, as well as international tax advisory services. We equally offer management consultancy services, which range from helping companies to be able to put in place a good business strategy, which can help them in uh, achieving their organizational objectives. We equally support companies in their recruitment process. We understand as a company, if you're going to succeed as a company or as a startup founder, beside you putting in place a good vision, you equally need to make sure that you have the right team. And that is why the Dicalo Consulting Group works in collaboration with startups, multinational companies across the Middle East and Africa, where we help them to facilitate their recruitment processes. To some of our clients, we offer outsourcing recruitment services where we simply hire staff on their behalf. And then for some companies, we equally offer payroll services where we help them in calculating the payrolls of their staff in the various markets, taking into consideration the relevant levelers and advising them on how they can actually process their payments. We equally offer other HR related services ranging from training on how to better put in place a good employee handbook or putting in place organizational rules and regulations in order to ensure that at the end of the day, the objectives of the company are actually achieved. And beside this, the Dicalo Consulting Group offers business setup and incorporation, which is a very, very important component of every business. You have a business idea, you have a business solution, you want to solve a problem, you have it at the back of your mind, you've come up with a plan. The most important thing, the next phase of it is how you can put in place a legal structure that will actually enable you to be able to operate within the market where you want to do business, making sure that you actually adhere to all the relevant laws and regulations. Now, we realize that a lot of businesses actually want to operate business in Africa, a lot of maybe foreign owned businesses or foreign domicile businesses, maybe from the Middle East or from the other continents of the world, and they want to do business in another continent. But in some continents, it's actually very easy because most of the rules and regulations are clearly communicated by the authorities involved, and it's easier for somebody to be able to say, uh, carry out research, say on the internet, or get a partner that can easily assist them with ease. But if you look at the situation of Africa, you realize that it's very difficult for you to be able to get that relevant information on the net that helps you to be able to know how you can navigate the business setup and incorporation process of a company in any of the African countries. That is why the Dicalo Consulting Group, in an effort to be able to facilitate this process and encourage or increase the level of foreign direct investment in Africa or foreign direct investment in the other continents of the world, or to have businesses in being able to solve this challenge where they face a lot of difficulties of how they can actually incorporate their business in any part of the world. The Dicalo Consulting Group actually brought in places service where introduces service where we already have a couple of partners that we're working with, and then we are able to facilitate the incorporation process of any company across the globe with the connection or the partnership that we have actually built over the years. So some there are so many reasons why many companies actually incorporate in certain markets. If I give an example, at the level of the UAE, there are several reasons why companies need to incorporate in the UAE, and some of the reasons range from taxation, where at the level of the VAT, we have a VAT rate of 5%, and then at the level of the corporate tax, which is 9%, and the 9% of corporate tax applies after 300 uh, 75,000 dirhams of net profit. So you realize that companies have a certain level of a threshold of minimum profit where they are not taxable. But now, if you want to look at companies operating in other parts of the world, or you look at the taxation system ranging from, say, VAT, corporate tax, withholding tax, then you understand that at the level of the UAE, we don't have any withholding tax. And there's equally no personal income tax where you're expected to maybe pay some taxes based on the salaries that you're payable to your employees. Actually, employees do not pay any minimum any income tax in the UAE. And then it equally doesn't end there. You equally, as an employer, you're not expected to make any contributions to the insurance fund, except at the level of except when you have UAE nationals or locals that are actually employed in your company, you're expected to contribute a certain percentage of their insurance contributions. Besides that, if you're at the level of the expatriates, you actually don't pay any contributions on their behalf. So now you realize that if you, as a business, if you try to analyze this, you see that at the level of taxation, there are several reasons why, as a multinational, you may need to put a holding company here because with all these issues which I've actually highlighted relevant to taxation, from the corporate tax to VAT to personal income tax and national insurance contributions on behalf of employees by employers, you completely don't have this except when you have locals. If you look at some markets, you see that some countries where they offer a VAT of, say, 20%, 19%, and some countries offer a very high rate of corporate tax of, say, 38% or even more, 30%. And some companies or some countries even offer a minimum tax in advance, where companies have to pay a certain percentage of their revenue as tax to the authorities. So again, like I've said, uh, this is very, very difficult to operate in those markets. But if you look at the advantages which I've actually highlighted here, you look at the difference between some of the benefits which have been highlighted here, you now understand that there are so many reasons why companies will need to incorporate in the UAE in order to be able to achieve these strategic advantages, to achieve this competitive advantage. If you look at a company where they are having a holding company here in the UAE and enjoying these benefits, with another company having a holding company in some of these countries with very high taxes, you come to realize that if we assume that both companies are operating in the same industry, you come to realize that the company that's operating within the UAE has a competitive advantage over the other company that's operating in a country that has very high taxes or that have all those taxes have actually highlighted prevailing in their market condition, in the sense that they will need to comply with the minimum tax liability, they will need to pay income taxes, they will need to pay taxes maybe 38%, where here is 9%, and the 9% applies after 325,000 dirhams. And then they also need to pay contributions to national insurance on behalf of the employees, which is not the case here. Again, like I've explained, it's you only have an exception when you actually have locals or you nationals that are working within your corporation, where they expect you to pay a certain percentage of contributions towards their insurance fund on their behalf. And now you see that in some parts of the world, especially in Africa, where it's very, very difficult for companies, especially companies that are engaged in international trade, to be able to transfer or move their funds from one country to the other, or to be able to receive funds from international customers, or to be able to process payments to international vendors. And where most countries also make it very difficult for companies to be able to have access to the global market currency like the US dollars or the euro, where most of the companies that are engaged in international trade actually do their settlements in the USD. It becomes very, very difficult for some of these companies to be able to compete in the marketplace because they suffer a lot of FX fluctuations, and equally some of them are not able to process payments with their vendors on time because of the fact that maybe they don't have access to these currencies that they need to use in processing their payment, thereby leading to deterioration or leading to negative reputation between their business and foreign their suppliers. So there are many reasons why a company facing these treasury issues, maybe in Africa or in other part of the world, where they need to have a holding company here in the UAE, because with a holding company in the UAE, you will be able to process all your international payments to your vendors or receive all your payments from your customers without any limitations. And now this is just at the level. I've just been focused on looking at, we've spoken about taxation, and then the second phase of it, we're looking at the level of treasury, where we are seeing that given the fact that most companies say within the African market face a lot of difficulties uh, in having access or in having dollars, some of the African countries even make it very difficult, if not impossible, to open a foreign account, maybe to open an account in the USD or Euro. They only want you to maintain an account in their local currency. So it becomes very, very difficult, and a lot of challenges, a lot of losses at the level of FX, because they actually face a lot of difficulties in being able to process this payment. So having a holding company in the UAE helps you to be able to solve this challenge. Again, you have not only been able to solve the challenge of uh, high taxation, or you are equally able to solve your treasury challenge, where you are facing a lot of difficulties in making payments, or incurring additional costs in trying to get access to international currencies that you then use in settling your payments with international vendors. Again, there are equally so many reasons why companies need to incorporate here, because in the UAE, you have a lot of skilled professionals. You have access to a lot of skilled professionals that can help you in realizing your vision. Again, like I explained, that the Dicalo Consulting Group helps in business setup, helps in recruitment. As a business owner, as a founder, after having a vision, the only way you will be able to achieve your vision is that you should be able to hire the right people that will be able to help you in realizing the vision that you have for your business. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult. So, at the level of the UAE, we have diverse nationals, diverse nationalities, a lot of people with diverse mindsets, diverse skills, very experienced and skilled, educated professionals, where you can easily have access to this pool of talents that are operating in the UAE, and it's going to make it very easy for you to be able to see how you can effectively run and succeed your in your venture over here in the UAE. Again, like I said, these are some of the reasons why we think that companies across the globe need to set up in the UAE. And beside that, the Dicalo Consulting Group also support business setup and incorporation across the Africa. We understand that there are a lot of businesses that are already operating in the UAE or in the Middle East or in the West, in Europe or in America, and they want to have a presence in Africa. Maybe they want to have physical, they want to have an entity in Africa. There are equally some entities that don't want to have an entity in Africa. They don't want to have incorporation in Africa. They want to have maybe a joint venture with an African business that is actually very knowledgeable about the market or that has a lot of experience in operating in the market. They are equally some international businesses, maybe from Asia or in the Middle East, Europe, or America, where they are looking for distributors of their products. Or there are equally some companies that are looking for local African partners that they can appoint as an agent. Now, the Dicalo, where the Dicalo Consulting Group comes in is that we try as much as possible to help you in looking of for that suitable partner where if you collaborate with, you will be able to have a competitive edge over your rivals. Why are we saying so? Because we try as much as possible to see that we look at a local partner that their values, their core values, their culture, and their business operation actually align with that of the company that wants to do business in Africa. Beside that, though we support operation business incorporation across the African market, yeah, like I already explained, we have a network of partners where it's easier for us to be able to get somebody, say, uh, in Lagos or in Abuja, or say in Johannesburg, or say in Nairobi, or say in Kigali, to be able to assist you in incorporating your business. And beside that, we also have companies that want to incorporate in Panama. We have partnerships with other international free zones where we have to facilitate the incorporation of your business in Panama. Again, I'll be organizing a session to discuss more on why companies may need to incorporate in some of these markets. Besides that, we also have African resident or other startups across the globe that want to have access to the US market. Maybe by helping them to have an entity which maybe in with the sole purpose of being able to have a bank account in the US, or enabling them to have an entity which may be say a C corporation that will enable them to be able to raise a funding and have access to venture capitalists in in the US market. And then there are many other some other international businesses that equally want to have access to the US market may equally consider incorporating in the US. Again, like I said, in our next session, we'll be discussing, we'll be looking at each of these markets and giving the pros and cons on why we think it's recommendable that a company should get incorporated in each of the markets. However, in our current session, we have highlighted a couple of reasons why we think uh, companies should get incorporated in the UAE. Again, we've looked at the taxation aspect. We've looked at the treasury function. We have equally looked at the labor laws, where the labor laws are very friendly and they clearly communicated to the public. Everybody understands how the labor law works and how employers can properly implement that in their organization. And then beside that, there are a couple of many other reasons. I also spoke at the level of where the UAE has a couple of a lot of huge talent pool from which companies can actually tap into in order to be able to achieve the vision. Again, the UAE has a very strong financial system and a very good infrastructure, not to talk of the healthcare and the security, which is very, very important. Thus, I will end this session by saying if you want to set up a business in the UAE, please do not hesitate. to reach out to us, you can book a call with us, or you can visit our website via www.dicalo.com. www.dicalo.com. Or you can send an email to us via consulting at dicalo.com. Consulting is CONSULTING at DICALOO.com, which is consulting at Dicalo, consulting at Dicalo.com. Again, like I said, the Dicalo Consulting Group also offers a range of tax advisory services where we help companies on their corporate tax and VAT registration, as well as their tax filings. We have a lot of experience in this domain, and we help a wide range of companies in order to be able to ensure that they comply with the relevant laws and regulations. Once again, like I said, it has been a pleasure having this session, having this first session and talking to you. My name is Mr. Dixon Akam, and I am the CEO of the Dicalo Consulting Group, where we are supporting a lot of SMEs, MNCs across the Middle East with operations in the UAE or Lagos in Nigeria, as well as Douala in Cameroon. If you want to reach out to me directly, or you want to get in contact with me in order to be able to advise you on how or where you can set up your new venture within the UAE across the globe, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn by at Dixon Akam, or you can send an email directly to me via Dixon at Dicalo.com. Dixon is DICKSON at Dicalo, which is DICALOO.com. It has been a wonderful pleasure making this presentation to all those who already subscribed to the YouTube channel of the Dicalo Consulting Group. And I equally want to take this opportunity to encourage those who have not been subscribed to say you should subscribe to our YouTube channel, as we have planned to be providing relevant updates that will help entrepreneurs, business owners, NMCs, startups, SMEs in helping them realize their business objectives. It was a pleasure, and hoping to see you when we release the next episode, where we're trying to look at each of the markets where we actually offer business incorporation and highlighting some of the pros and cons on why we think as an entrepreneur or as a business you need to get incorporated there. Goodbye and have a nice day. Thank you. It has been Mr. Akam Dixon, the CEO of the Dicalo Consulting Group. Bye.